Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. And as you can see, we're back down in the shop working on the second gen. And on today's agenda, I'm gonna be doing something I've actually never done before, and that's gonna be building our own set of AN hoses for all the coolant lines on the truck. But yeah, usually with your VP truck, you have a stock metal coolant line that you can see. Here's Noah's truck, and it runs right underneath here. But because everything is custom on this side of the engine, then we don't really have anywhere for that to run. So just running some custom AN lines is going to be the best setup. It's going to look the cleanest. We just got to put in the work to actually build them out, measure them out, so we can get coolant flowing through the heater core of the truck and through the head and everything. So with that, let's hop into today's video. You have your two coolant lines coming out of the heater core of the truck, out of the firewall of the cab, and one of them goes here to the head. They actually have a freeze plug pulled out from the factory, so that's what we have in it right now, going back with the factory one. But getting the AN lines is gonna really clean up the top of the head of the engine where you're starting to see the valve cover and everything. Then you have another one that will travel and go down here to basically your coolant neck. And so right here is where that one goes. So if you look straight down, you can see it right there. So that's kind of the way we're gonna route them, as we have two lines coming out of there, and then we're gonna go ahead and have one sit right in there, and then have one run all the way back down to that coolant neck. And then also the plan for today is to go ahead and get the coolant bypass line clamped onto the studs of the manifold and let that be kind of our support, and have the other coolant lines bolting onto this to kind of shore everything up and get everything set. So what we have over here on the table is all the parts. So I already messed around with one of the ends, just seeing how difficult it is to install. Not too bad. You got to be careful though. It is a really soft material. So if you have a, what I used was just a crescent wrench, and then you can kind of dug into the metal. But just played around with that one. Not a hard install. We'll go over how to do that. And then this right here will be our 90 that goes into the coolant neck, 7/8 MPT to -10. And then we have all of our AN fittings. And then we have this one. That's our 90 AN fitting that will go down into the head. And then for the heater core, this is just going to have standard heater hose, probably going to run about that far, and then a hose clamp to it. And then we have some adapters. So this is a push barb fitting that goes into AN. So the idea is, if you can see back here, right here. So we're going to have hose clamp to just straight out heater hose, and then to AN line. Not going to be that far. And we're going to have a good, nice, clean setup running down the head of the engine this way. And then that one will 90 it down into that fitting. And this one will travel the length of the engine all the way along with the coolant bypass hose, and then it'll drop back down to that coolant neck. We're going to start by just installing our 90 MPT fitting into the coolant neck, and then we'll kind of go from there and measure up and work backwards. We don't have to be too precise because we are just cutting standard heater hose that goes back into the heater core, so we can make up the difference if we need to with that. And then we'll go ahead and use this as our first one that's going to thread into here, just like this. And then after I get that kind of mocked up, I'll show you where I want to run it and then how I want to clamp it to the coolant bypass hose. All right, so we got that installed. I had to use a crow's foot because I couldn't get my adjustable wrench back in there, but that's okay. So that's pointing up, that's the way we want it. And then we're gonna have a line coming straight down into it right there. So let's go ahead and take a look at the line. I already have this first one on there. So we're gonna set that, screw it down, and then we'll start kind of measuring and laying out the line where we want it. And then we'll kind of go alongside the head of the engine and then see where we want to cut it for the back of the heater core. All right, so now what we're gonna do is I bought these tiny little P-clamps right here that I already have one drilled out. So this is gonna go over the manifold stud, and then we'll use the bolt on the stud to go ahead and clamp down our coolant bypass line. And this will get this set so we know where we want to mount the other AN lines coming from the heater core. So as you can see, these are drilled out. I just used a 27/64, just big enough to fit a 10 mil stud over it or through it. And then you just go ahead and torque that back down to your normal torque specs on the manifold. So we got everything drilled out. We'll go over there and show you how these are gonna go on. Pretty simple, but we're gonna go ahead and run them just like this. And then both these are gonna slide over the manifold stud. And essentially we're gonna run this hose through there and then take the nut off, tighten it down, and then you're good to go. So this is gonna support all the other AN hoses coming off the back of the firewall, and then use that. We got 4 of them. Not sure if we're gonna use all of them. I'd like to get this first one set, make sure it's going straight down the head, and then 2, 3, 4 back there. We'll kind of see how it lays, how much of a kink we're gonna put in it if we go ahead and clamp that down, because there is a bit of an extra hose coming out from the back of the head. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But as right now, we're going to start pulling off this manifold bolt and then slide these on and start working our way down. All right, so we got those installed right here. They look pretty good. There's a bit of a gap, and they wanted to turn with the nut as you're tightening it. This one was the only one that kind of stayed, and it looks the best. But as you see back there, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have our coolant bypass running. We have this tight, so we're good to go. Now to work on the one coming out of the firewall into the port on the head right here. We're gonna go ahead and get a 90 fitted up on the AN hose. So here's that 90. And then that is a normal MPT fitting that goes down into the head. So this will screw down tight. And then that 90 will join right here, just like this. All right. So we need to go ahead and back this off. And to explain that is you're going to back this piece all the way off. All right. Once you get that backed off, you can set it down. And this is what it looks like. So this does all the clamping, this tapered end right here. This is what clamps the inside and the outside of the hose to make a seal. So you're gonna get this part right here, and this Kind of has threads on it, but you're going to want to push it over the hose. And I want to put you on a tripod so y'all can see. All right, so here you are. We're on a tripod. You can see down in there. So you want to push it on this side, right? And then once you get it all the way over the edge, you can kind of see how it's going on there. Then you want to press it all the way until it kind of butts up against this threaded part. And then this will push in there. You have to work it a little bit because this essentially goes on the inside of the hose right here. Once you get it pressed on there, then once you start tightening it down, the tapered part of that collar will suck down on this, and then you'll make a seal. So once you get that done, then this is where that starts. And you want to get it all the way. You want to line up your points on your 6-point right here. And then once you get it tight, but you don't want it to back off. Like, it'll start getting tight and then it'll just keep on going. You don't want to leave any space, usually about right. I'll run it all the way down to about right there. All right, and then you have it done. So we're gonna go ahead and work on this one, cut this to length for that port going into the head, and then we'll go from there. All right, so we got our heater hose, which is gonna go back way back there to those 2 ports. So I don't know, it gets pretty close to the downpipe, so we're probably gonna have to heat wrap it. So I'm not sure what this is rated as temperature wise, but it is 100 PSI. So I'll probably look on Evil Energy's website and see how hot it can get. I know that downpipe's gonna be warm, but because it's a high mount kit, that's just kind of where we're at, how everything's lining up. Looking about maybe getting some 90s on there and then get them to kick over and then come straight down the head like we have the coolant bypass line. But I do want to get these pushed on here. If they both turn and look good, then we can go ahead and use it the way it is. But I want to get these pushed on, cut, and then that's whenever we'll mate up with our AN hose, and then that'll connect everything and make sure that it's a good line running all the way back. All right, so we got it back there. We got the first one slid on. Pretty shaky, sorry about that. But see how close it is to the downpipe. So the idea right now is that our nylon AN hose, which is up there, is rated for about 500 degrees. And then this one's only rated for 250. So we're gonna cut that as close as we can to the port on the heater hose, and then get a AN fitting barbed pushed in there, and then use that AN line to go closer to the downpipe. And then we're also gonna heat shield it, wrap it in heat shield so we don't have any issues with things melting and it being too hot back there. But that's the idea. So if you look on this side, you can kind of see exactly how it's running. All right, so we are gonna wanna cut that. So here's the barb fitting that I was mentioning right here. So it has to press in about 1.5 inches. We're gonna want about 2 inches from the heater core port out, and then we can push that fitting in, and then we can bend it over and then get it to come back and sit in line with all of our other lines. But that's the idea. So we're gonna go ahead and cut that, get that pushed, that barb fitting on there, barb to AN, and then see how it looks and go from there. All right, so there's what she's looking like. Pretty close, but when we go to bend this one over, we'll be okay. This one, with how thick the hose is, we may be touching, but I'm not too worried about that. We just need both of them to bend over. We can kind of bend them whichever way we want. I got to get some actual dash 10 hose clamps or line separators. The ones off Amazon, they came in as dash 12. So I'm sending them back, getting some new ones. So we want these two running alongside each other with the top one coming down, and then good clean look of both these running up to the front of the engine. So gonna go ahead and measure this one piece back there. It's actually was a pretty good fit, no issues. So I'm gonna measure that and then cut a second heater hose, get that pushed on there. Go ahead and push the barb fitting on there first. It was a little tight, and I had to put the AN line on there to get a grip to push it all the way to the collar of the fitting. But right now, work on that, get that cut, and then we'll start looking at this piece right here. All right, so we have those fitted on there. You can kind of see, if I can get my hand back there, right here. So these will both have to turn left, and then we'll go ahead and start getting them lined up here and working on this. So for this, we just stick a 7/8 socket over it. Like that. There was some thread sealant on it. I'm gonna wipe all that off, but that will just thread out of there like that. So this is the stock one. Already starting to collect some rust. It's also limited by how small the hole is through the base of the fitting. So just going to a normal AN style, you can see that versus this, which is not really doing anything in terms of engine performance. All this is going to the heater core. The truck has heat, but we'll just thread this one in there. Sorry for the bad lighting, but you get the gist of it. So that goes in there like that. And then we'll take our 90 like this. And then it will go on here just like that. And then that'll point back or whatever orientation it needs. And then we'll connect from here to here. And that is that done. But this is a much cleaner look. It's a little bit more work, but it's the top side of the engine. It's the engine bay. I want it to be as clean as possible. So that's what we're going with. We'll go ahead and get this all tightened down and see how it turns out afterwards. All right, so hopefully you can see back there. But there's where she's at. It looks good. Trying to get some light. Maybe like that. So you can see, we can kind of move this wherever we want down the head. But that has enough heater hose on it to put a clamp on it. You got an AN fitting right here and an AN fitting right here, down to a 90 to an MPT going into the head. So that looks super clean. All right, that is way better than any factory piece that you can get. So the only thing we're missing is a hose clamp back there, but that's okay. With that being said, we got to work on the next one. And then this one's going to run all the way down right here. And then we just got to get some better fitting line separators and hose clamps so we can get everything to kind of follow. I may not even worry about this one. The way it's sitting, I do have a pretty good gap between here and here where I can get this one to follow. I may put one right here so they're evenly spaced, but after that, then we'll just get one to clamp right here, and in between the ones that we have for the coolant bypass. We'll get it to come all the way down here and then drop straight down there to our fitting right there. So we're gonna go ahead and measure that out, get one fitted up, and then we'll go ahead and see where we're at that point. One quick thing to mention is that you can see back here now, I can't get my hand back there, but where I'm pointing is right now, the closest part to this downpipe is the metal fitting. So that's exactly what we want. That can embrace the heat a whole lot better coming off this downpipe than either the nylon hose or that heater hose in the back. So that's sitting good, but here's another close-up view. Looks really good. Kind of impressed with how they turned out, honestly, especially this inner one that's going to the head, how it already has that natural bend into it. So I tightened that one down so it's going to stay like that, and then we'll go ahead and move this one over to shape to that one. But that was just a quick close-up view that I wanted to show you. We'll get these clamps in, and then we'll knock out the rest of this, and we'll be done as far as the routing all the coolant lines on the truck. All right, hey guys, we're back down in the shop, and we finally got the clamps for the coolant lines. So we're gonna go, like I said before, we're gonna get this all clamped down to our coolant bypass line. You come over here to the table, here they are. It's from Evil Energy. So this is dash 10 AN hose clamps. So, and they're separators, so we'll be evenly spaced apart all the way down the coolant line. So gonna get these thrown on, put you on a time lapse, and we're gonna see just how much slack it takes out of this and how it looks on top of the engine. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so we got them installed. I want to show you just how good they turned out. So you can see back there, they run together evenly spaced, and then we got them running alongside, or really on top of our coolant bypass, all the way down to our 90-degree coolant elbow. So this is what they look like on top of the engine, and then we'll get a little side shot, zoom in, but that's the way they're spaced going down into the engine bay. So that'll round out this video as far as custom coolant lines, building them from scratch from AN hoses, and really just kind of piecing it together as I went along, measuring out and calling it good. So if you want to go that route, then I will drop the links in the description below on what you need to order. It's Dash 10 AN Evil Energy from Amazon. So just all kind of do-it-yourself parts. Really not too bad at all. This will be anything, you can do this to a stock vehicle as you're just rerouting coolant, right? The standpipe for the factory unit is metal, rusty. It doesn't look as good. So you can route just about as much as you want with AN lines. Really glad I went that route, and it looks really good in the engine bay. So that'll wrap up this video. As always, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. Share where you talk diesel, and I'll see you in the next one. Boss out.